The bell rings, the crowd roars, gloves collide. And in that moment, history is written, not with ink, but with sweat and blood. Boxing isn't just a sport, it's a legacy, a battlefield where heroes are forged and stories are sealed in time. But what happens when the lights fade, when the crowd goes silent, when the champion leaves the ring forever? This isn't just about titles or knockouts. It's about remembering the warriors who gave everything to the sport and left behind more than belts. These are the names etched into the soul of boxing. Today, we honor 30 legendary boxers who have passed away, and the impact they made that still echoes in every jab, every cheer, and every quiet moment after the fight. A number of boxers not only fought, but also influenced generations. The title of the Brown Bomber went to Joe Louis, and he also represented America's strength in the war years. He faced challenges from fighters as well as widespread doubt and prejudice. When Rocky Marciano fought, even though he didn't have much experience, his determination and strong punches inspired many people after he gave up boxing undefeated. Because of his power, Sonny Liston is remembered as a hugely intimidating fighter in the history of boxing. Thanks to his aggressive style and many knockouts, Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler, introduced boxing to a wide American audience in the 1920s. These men went into the ring with more than gloves. They fought to represent the beliefs, concerns, and dreams of their age. As we have often said, legends never go out of style. This was not enough. It was at this period when men could rise above its challenges. There were fighters who became famous not by punching hard, but through their style. It was said that Sugar Ray Robinson was the best boxer of all time pound for pound, and moved in the ring just like a poet with gloves. He moved like a ballet dancer. His legendary technical skill produced music like jazz. After that, Muhammad Ali, known as the greatest, took the ring and made it into a place where everybody performed differently. Every song, every beat from him fascinated the world. Mosley made the sport of boxing important internationally, going beyond the sport and discussing politics, how people define themselves, and resistance. Hector Macho Camacho made arenas exciting with his flamboyance and crazy walkouts. But Pernell Whitaker eluded his opponent's punches like an invisible fighter. They were as much artists as they were boxers. They weren't only champions, but they amazed the audience. And even though their singing has stopped, the music from their past is still felt. No one ever said that style is done until it's really done. Even so, things were not at an end. The bringing together of leather and legacy became the style of biker culture. A number of fighters managed to win belts. There were also songs that touched many listeners. Arturo Gatti was among these. He stayed strong and made sure fans were always excited by his matches. The rivalry between him and Mickey Ward in the trilogy is remembered as one of the toughest and prettiest in the sport. Also, Diego Corrales made a memorable comeback when he beat Jose Luis Castillo, a famous fight. One of his eyes was shut, and many people believed he would lose, yet he refused to give up. One of Ken Norton's great achievements was breaking Muhammad Ali's jaw in one of their battles. This made him a master of strength and willpower. People praised Aaron Pryor for his non-stop punching and how every round seemed important to him. They weren't only boxers, they were tough fighters, survivors, and would not give up. We come to think of toughness by mostly considering strength, right? However, this was not all that happened. That's what strength was, being able to endure difficulties and go on anyway. Time can be very unforgiving. Sometimes names disappear, although their legacies continue. The Mexican fighter Ruben Olivares changed the bantamweight division with his powerful punches. Henry Armstrong conquered 3 weight classes as champions. Simultaneously, This major accomplishment was never matched. These performers are unrecognized to many people, just becoming a part of the industry. Jimmy Ellis, who fought Ali in heavyweight bouts, didn't receive much notice when he died. The tragedy of inadvertently taking an opponent's life in the ring became the thing that haunted Emil Griffith most, more than any of his defeats. They went through more than what can be included in a simple footnote. They need to be remembered. Remember when people say that popularity decides how someone's legacy is judged? This was only the first layer. This was its character, surviving in the pause once the crowd had cheered. There are some losses that feel harder. They happened before you were prepared. The popular boxer Vernon Forrest, who succeeded both in and out of the ring, lost his life in a robbery. At only 38 years old, he had fallen. The rising newcomer, Paul Williams, was left paralyzed from an accident on his motorcycle and never competed again. The WBC champion, Genaro Hernandez, passed away at only 45 because of cancer. Despite survival, a near-fatal shooting meant that Emmanuel Augustus gave up boxing and left the sport shocked. Roger Mayweather, the Black Mamba, also played a big role in helping Floyd Mayweather become famous. The records of their experiences ended when their lives did. You are probably aware that we often think greatness lasts a very long time. This was not the last thing to happen. Here was true excellence, but interrupted. Boxing is not only an American sport, it's global. Carlos Monzon from Argentina won most of his fights in the middleweight division with strength and control. However, tragedy and scandal marked the end of his life. After retiring from boxing, Alexis Arguello dealt with conflict, and his death was first ruled as a suicide, but some questions still exist. There is a mental, emotional price to pay, as well as a physical cost for every fighter. For years, the famous champion Johnny Tapia dealt with troubles related to addiction and depression. His amazing wrestling performances were often complemented by chaos in his private life. He died in 2012, leaving the world with both a difficult legacy and lots of inspiration. After his fight with Nigel Benn, Gerald McClellan lives, but is permanently paralyzed, proof of how rough the world of boxing can be. Years of abuse resulted in neurological damage to Meldrick Taylor as well. The ring adds fame, yet it can take away everything else. We all know about our admiration for warriors. Even so, this did not solve the problem. The effects were clear from a conflict whose ending was never clear. What these 30 and the thousands of others demonstrate is that boxing goes far beyond the ring. It is not limited to the outcome of the final score. Daring to do it is the main point. People who were brave when everyone else was afraid, who risked their health, their drives, and their achievements to serve something more important than themselves. If you felt something today, for even one of these warriors, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories behind the gloves. And comment below, who's a legend you'll never forget, and why? Until next time, honor the past, fight with heart, and always remember, the bell rings for more than just rounds.